Most people know Anthony Ellis Gill as Snoop. Some know him as a Bar-Barian. Some know him as the founder of Team Sparta. Some know him as the Hokage of the United Calisthenics Arena. But what most people don't know is that one of the most influential figures in modern calisthenics spent years failing in public, failing in front of legends, failing in front of crowds, failing so many times that he holds the record for more failed Bar-Barian requirement attempts than anyone else. And yet, that failure might be the exact reason his story matters. Because this isn't the story of the strongest athlete. This is the story of the athlete who refused to quit, and in the process helped shape an entire generation of calisthenics. Before there was Team Sparta, before there was the Snoop routine, before the Gold Wings, there was a kid growing up in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. Like most kids from his era, life happened outside. Basketball courts, schoolyards, street corners. Competition wasn't something you trained for. Competition was life. Sports became the language he understood best. Football was his first love. Basketball became his obsession. Snoop went from local courts to college basketball. By his late teens, he was already traveling overseas playing basketball in countries like Belgium. Everything revolved around becoming better, faster, stronger, and more explosive. And that's exactly where calisthenics entered the picture. At first, it wasn't a passion. It wasn't a culture. It wasn't a movement. It was just conditioning. A few pull-ups, a few push-ups, some bodyweight work before getting back on the court. Nothing more. At least that's what he thought. Then one day, he saw something that changed everything. Every athlete remembers the moment they realize there's another level. For Snoop, that moment happened in Queens. He was training with childhood friends. Then he saw a man casually doing things he never imagined possible. Flags, muscle-ups, and other advanced movements. Not with effort, not with strain, nor was he even breathing hard. The man was teaching while performing the movements like gravity didn't apply to him. That man was Hannibal for King. At the time, Snoop didn't understand what he was witnessing. He didn't know he was standing near one of the most iconic figures in street workout history. He just knew one thing. He'd never seen anything like it. And from that moment, he couldn't stop thinking about the bars. The next phase came through a man named Shells. Shells became one of the first athletes who truly opened the door, teaching, explaining, showing the way. Back then, the calisthenics community felt different. Athletes shared information. You asked questions. People actually helped you. And slowly, a small group began forming. Nothing professional, nothing official, just athletes training together after work, night after night. One person became two, two became five, five became seven. Eventually, the group needed a name. Shells used to say, "We train like Spartans," and that was enough. Shirts were made. A team was born. At the time, they were simply called Spartans. Nobody knew yet that this small group would eventually become one of the most recognizable endurance movements in the sport. But the foundation had been laid, and then competition entered the picture. Everything changed.
We kind of have a little community going on here. We wanted to be Bar-Barian, but we were legit doing sets of 10. We were crazy intimidated.
Yeah.
I never met Zeph seeing his stuff. So we started what we call Spartans. We were always Bar-Barian based. When we formed Team Sparta, it was legit in homage. Like we wanted, like you know the Knicks, we wanted to be the D-League team.
Yeah, got it.
We wanted to be the little brother affiliate.
If Team Sparta was high school basketball, Bar-Barians were the Chicago Bulls. At least that's how Snoop saw it. Then he met Zakaveli, the man who founded Bar-Barians, the man who helped create the blueprint for modern street workout. What surprised him wasn't Zeph's strength, it was the silence. No screaming, no attention seeking, no theatrics, just work. Relentless, obsessive, masterful work. Snoop immediately recognized something familiar, a Brooklyn mentality, a deep obsession with improvement. And from that moment, he wanted gold wings. Nothing else mattered. Not trophies, not followers, not popularity, just gold wings. But there was one hurdle, the Bar-Barian requirement, and it would become the most important battle of his life. Some athletes become legends with victories. Snoop became one through failure. The Bar-Barian requirement wasn't just a workout, it was a rite of passage, all under strict standards, all under the watchful eye of Zeph. Most people focused on the numbers. Zeph focused on something else, Character, patience, consistency, mastery. The requirement could not be cheated. It could not be negotiated. It could not be rushed. And for years, it defeated Snoop. He became known internationally for one thing, not quitting. While others might disappear after embarrassment, Snoop kept coming back, and every attempt made him stronger. Eventually, something strange started happening. He started becoming one of the best competitors in New York. Competition after competition, win after win, trophy after trophy. At one point, he went undefeated across the city, but he didn't care, because none of it was the goal. Everything was preparation. Everything was still about that one test, that one moment, that one set. Then California happened. 5 athletes attempted the requirement. Everyone failed. A second chance was granted. This time, Snoop tapped into something different, his own energy, the competitor, the fighter. And finally, on his 7th or 8th official attempt, he passed. After years, after countless failures, Anthony Ellis Gill earned his gold win. Most famous workouts are designed because someone wants attention. The Snoop routine was born from frustration. The final muscle-ups of the BBR kept destroying him, so he created a solution. A fatigue-based muscle-up system designed specifically to attack weakness. The routine became known as the Snoop 5MD. What started as personal problem-solving evolved into one of the most recognizable endurance routines in modern calisthenics. But the bigger lesson wasn't the workout. The lesson was the mentality behind it. Whenever Snoop hit a wall, he built a bridge.
When I coach, I do it from a different standpoint. So back in 2017, I was injured. I went to Italy with the Bar-Barian family. I failed the BBR. I became so obsessed with the BBR that I ended up injuring my lat for 6 months. So in those 6 months, I exclusively coached. And that's when I started to realize that attention to detail when you're not being an athlete plays a different role. So that's actually when Coach Cap was born.
Adversity struck again. Major injuries, overtraining, months without being able to pull, a burst appendix, time away from competition. For many athletes, this is where the story ends. For Snoop, it became the beginning of something new. Coach Cap, the mentor, the builder, the teacher, because once he could no longer chase his own numbers, he started helping others chase theirs. The result was astonishing. Athletes who entered under his guidance began winning. Women began excelling. Entire divisions started growing. Competition after competition, Team Sparta athletes found themselves standing on podiums. Snoop discovered something unexpected. Winning himself was satisfying, but building winners was more rewarding. Many people think Team Sparta is just a team. Snoop disagrees. To him, it's a family. Over a decade old, roughly 70 athletes connected to the movement over its history. Parents, firefighters, organizers, competitors, and children growing into adults. The mission evolved. It stopped being about collecting athletes. It became about developing people. The bronze, silver, and gold progression systems, the accountability, the culture, the standards, everything came from a simple question. How do you turn someone's potential into reality? And that question still drives Team Sparta today. Throughout all of this, Snoop developed a reputation, the Ranger, because while others stayed inside territories, he went everywhere. New York, Florida, California, the DMV, Europe. He became a bridge between worlds that often refused to speak to each other. Sometimes that role came with criticism, sometimes it came with politics, but it also gave him something rare: perspective. He witnessed almost every major era of modern calisthenics, which means he witnessed something else: the evolution and the division.
When I first started, I didn't know about the beefs. So I went somewhere talking about Bar-Barian training. You know, dudes basically pressed me on some, nah, we don't rock with Bar-Barian over here. So I'm thinking, it's beef. My fist is balled in my pockets, but then it turned into a workout battle. So I'm like, oh, word? This talk brings a different energy. So the golden era, I commend it because, like, there's still a positiveness to beef. It's bringing the best out of you. Yo, Beast, what up? You ain't seeing me, I'm gonna come to your park. Beast is gonna be like, word? Yeah. So when we link, we're gonna put up some historic sets and reps.
The trash talk isn't new. The callouts aren't new. The rivalries aren't new. What changed is the camera. The old school era challenged each other face to face. The modern era performs conflict for audiences. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's dangerous. But Snoop refuses to pretend one side is entirely right. He sees value in both, the warriors and the showmen, the quiet killers and the promoters, because every movement needs heroes and villains. The challenge is making sure the story doesn't become bigger than the sport.
I can personally tell when, like, all right, we're doing this for the show,
the views,
you know what I'm saying? But then it's spilled into like, yo, they really might not rock with each other. And that's where it feels like now. This is just me from a neutral standpoint. I liked seeing y'all together. I did love the banter. It was the culture. You know what I'm saying? That's what we come up from. You get roasted, you training, you prove yourself. There's blood. You might fight, you might not. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I loved it. But for it to turn into like you over there, I'm like, oh, come on. So let's talk about bar history now. Because now we are the OGs. Now we are the legends. How do we not repeat the history of the past? Because now we truly understand why these guys, you know what I'm saying, why they still beefing to this day. Why the Giants, the NBXAs, the this, the that. How do we fix that? Because everyone's going to learn from everyone else's mistake. So my biggest thing with even bringing up this topic is, like I said, how do we erase the hit? Because I felt like we're going around that same route. We don't rock with those dudes, and we're never gonna rock with those dudes, and calisthenics is gonna continue to be that person. Like, this is a kingdom that everyone has a place.
No chapter represents modern calisthenics more than this one. Snoop watched Islam rise, watched him learn, watched him build, and watched him become one of the most influential personalities in the sport. He also witnessed the rise of Abu Asada, another athlete shaped by the culture, another athlete seeking to define himself beyond mentorship. The rivalries, the battles, the politics, the attention, the controversy. Snoop sees all of it, not as chaos, but as growing pains, because every generation creates its own language, its own heroes, its own conflicts. The real question isn't whether conflict exists. The question is what comes after. Today, Snoop's focus sits on the UCA, not as a competitor, as an architect, a builder, a leader. Someone trying to solve the problems previous generations never solved. Standards, rules, structure, legitimacy, professionalism. The dream is large. Build something that outlives everyone. Snoop genuinely believes calisthenics can become an Olympic sport. What it lacks is unity, organization, leadership, and business infrastructure. The same things that transform other sports from underground cultures into global industries. The talent already exists. The question is whether the community can evolve. After everything, the victories, the injuries, the rivalries, the failures, the gold wings, the one lesson Snoop returns to isn't strength, it's joy. Because before the teams, before the politics, there were just kids in the park, laughing, competing, pushing each other, having fun. And maybe that's the secret. Not fame, not validation, joy, because in Snoop's eyes, the athletes who last the longest aren't the strongest. They're the ones who never stop loving the craft. And after all these years, Anthony Snoop Ellis Gill still loves the bars. His story isn't over yet.
I don't think nobody in calisthenics can keep up with me or hang with me. That's just my honest truth.